Hello everybody, and I'm Chris, and welcome to a new post. Apologies for this being the first one for some time, but unfortunately, you know that life sometimes gets in the way of doing things you really want to do. But here is an interesting post. I hope you find it interesting. In season 5 of the Inspector Morse, the original series, just in series 5, we get to see a poster on the wall in Morse's office in the police station. That poster is called The Swing by Jean-Honoré Fragonard, and I'm pretty sure I've butchered the pronunciation of that name. And it only appears in series 5. So that is series 5 episode 1, second time around. Series 5 episode 2, Fat Chance. Series 5 episode 3, Who Killed Harry Field. Series 5 episode 4, Greeks Burying Gifts. And finally, series 5 Episode 5, The Promised Land, just Promised Land. So, I found a very interesting video that talks more about this particular painting, much better than I could, and it makes the painting very interesting how much detail this particular YouTube channel goes into. The YouTube channel is called Art Deco. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll talk to you soon.
Every time I look at this painting, I'm in awe of how beautiful it is. And I'm overwhelmed by a feeling of love because I love it, but also because look at the way he's looking at her. He's practically foaming at the mouth. But why is he in a bush? And who is this? Wait a minute. Shh. I guess this isn't the beautiful love story I thought it was. This piece is called The Swing by Jean-Honoré Fragonard, a private commission that he was never supposed to create in the first place. A painting that was so raunchy, many artists wouldn't have done it for all the money in the world. A piece that was never meant to see the light of day, but nevertheless an extraordinary work of art that changed the trajectory of Fragonard's career and ended up being his greatest masterpiece. The artist who was originally approached to paint this piece was named Gabriel Francois Doyen, and although we aren't sure the identity of the person who commissioned it, we know based on writings at the time that he was an, quote, unnamed gentleman of the court, and many believe he was Baron de Saint-Julien, the receiver general of the French clergy. When Doyen was approached to create this piece, he immediately refused because he couldn't risk destroying his reputation as a respectable religious history painter. Yeah. He recommended Fragonard, who, at the time, mainly did paintings for royalty, not for wealthy individuals. But upon recent issues with payments from the aristocracy, he was more than happy to take it on, even though he was second choice. But what could possibly be so risque about a painting that appears so innocent and playful? Settle in and grab some popcorn. This is gonna be a bumpy ride. Emerging from a sea of bluish-green vegetation is a woman swinging from a tree. She's front and center in a bright pink dress that practically bubbles over the luxurious red velvet seat below her. The light shines on her as if it's direct from the heavens. The contrast in color between the woman and the background makes her come to life that much more. She seems to be in a luscious private garden due to the fencing that surrounds the area. She barely grips the ropes as she glides through the air. We catch her when she reaches the tippy top of her swing ride. She lifts her left leg high, flinging her kitten heel in the air playfully. Her other shoe seems to hang on by a thread, but she doesn't care. She has someone to pick it up for her if it happens to fall. Down below her, there's a man lying in a bush with his arm outstretched toward the woman. He looks up at her in an excited, goofy kind of way. But what exactly is he looking at? Oh, okay. That makes sense. But forget about the fact that he can see up her skirt. Her ankle is showing. A very erotic gesture at the time. Is he in shock? Okay, so a guy commissioned a private portrait of himself looking up his partner's skirt while she's swinging. It's a little unorthodox, but not that big of a deal, right? Wrong. Here's the kicker. The man that commissioned the painting is the man in the bush, and he's also the woman's lover, not her husband. This older man is her husband. Probably anyway. I mean, it's art, so there's always an element of uncertainty. He looks up at his wife affectionately, blissfully unaware of the younger man hiding away, not far from him. When the unnamed gentleman of the court commissioned the piece, he had a very specific vision. His requests were as follows. Quote, I would like you to paint Madame on a swing, being pushed by a bishop. You will place me in a way that I am within reach of seeing the legs of this beautiful child. Even better, if you want to brighten up the painting further, I would definitely say that he brightened the painting further. But Fragonard also took some artistic liberties, maybe even a bit of a dig, substituting the bishop for the deceived husband. And honestly, it's genius. Because as everyone knows, the motion of a swing is back and forth, much like the woman going back and forth between her lover and her husband, a love triangle of sorts. And although her husband seems to be the one in control, holding the reins, and she is bound by the ropes of marriage, they seem to be becoming a bit frayed. And when you think about it, she's really the only one in control in the situation. She seems confident and at ease. The only one, except for us, who's aware of everything that's going on in the scene. It's interesting that Fragonard chose to give her so much presence and authority in this piece, both physically, since she's obviously the biggest and brightest in the painting, and also in theme. Without a worry in the world, she flings her petite heel toward a statue of Cupid holding a finger to its lips, letting us know that whatever happens in the mystical fairy garden stays in the mystical fairy garden. People at the time would have immediately recognized the resemblance between this and the menacing Cupid statue created by Etienne Maurice Falconet in 1757 for Madame de Pompadour, King Louis XV's mistress. Another chubby baby statue is placed on the right side of the painting. These kinds of statues are also called puto or putti, just in case you ever need to know that for trivia or something. But these babies, who seem to be riding a dolphin, have shocked and even shameful looks on their faces. A fluffy white dog on the right side of the painting appears to be barking at her. Dogs were often seen as symbols of fidelity, and let's just say this dog doesn't look very pleased. The fact that the dog is barking loudly, almost as if it's trying to alert the world of what's actually going on, is in stark contrast to the silent, secret-keeping Cupid. This creates an interplay between the left and the right side of the painting. The left side seems to be encouraging the reckless exchange, while the right side seems to be advocating fidelity and restraint. During this time, private commissions like this one were intended for display in intimate rooms in wealthy individuals' homes known as cabinets, which is exactly where it would have stayed hidden. Here, the patron and his friends could delight in art that depicted a diversion from social norms for their own private and personal pleasure. The work was so enjoyed by those that saw it that an artist by the name of Nicholas Delaunay created a print version in 1792 that could be circulated in front of a larger, albeit still socially elite, audience. The swing marked a turning point in Fragonard's career. Before it, he mainly completed paintings for royalty, and after it, he mainly did private commissions. It's possible that his carefree, playful style fit more in line with the latter. I definitely think so. But let me know what you think. In any case, as a result, less critical commentary and documentation exists of his works, and a deep dive into his paintings has only recently begun to take place in the last few decades. Thank goodness, the world needed more of this, in my opinion. To me, this painting is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It looks so whimsical and innocent at first glance, and has even been referenced in movies like Frozen. But when you dig a little deeper, things aren't exactly as they seem. Thanks for the ride, Fragonard. Shh. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.